Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have tuned in to another edition of the Sports Shop 27. I'm your host, Jermaine Colter. To my far right, we got Kevin Johnson, KJ. And
That's right.
in the
That's right.
middle, today's special guest, former Clemson and Seattle Seahawks
Seahawks,
offensive
baby.
lineman, William Henry. What's
Yeah,
good,
big wheel,
Will?
baby. What's up?
What's
What's
up, Big
going
Will?
on? What's going on? How
Yeah,
y'all
man.
doing
So
today?
glad to have you.
What's going on, Eric Coleman? What's going on? Thanks for
What's
tuning
up, Big
in,
E?
bro.
Big E, what's going on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, sir. For the people that don't know you, William, let them know a little bit about your background and how you got your start in playing football.
That's right, man.
So I'm originally from Greenville, South Carolina, so not too far from Clemson. Born and raised. Started out in Piedmont Manor down in District 25, and worked my way around Belle Meade and stayed in District 25 for most of my young life. I was born big, so I was always marked to be that football player. I was born 11 pounds 14 ounces, so I was born big, but I didn't start playing football until I was I guess 12 or 13. I think I was in the 8th grade and I started playing C-team football. I was always overweight, so I couldn't play Pop Warner back in the day. And
Okay.
started C-team, worked my way up to JV, and then played varsity 3 years. And then eventually earned a scholarship to Clemson to play.
All right. So what sport did you particularly like before you started playing football? Was football your first love or was it something else?
Well, I guess it's probably basketball. Just growing up in the quote unquote projects, being in the neighborhood, you can always find a basketball goal. But we had backyard football as well, but basketball. But once I realized, man, I was like 6'4", 6'5", and I was a big guy. I wasn't getting ready to be a point guard or anything. And I realized the heights in the NBA and everything. And I think Charles Barkley was like the only one doing it at that height, like 6'4", and I think Dennis Rodman was like 6'6", but you kind of understand your potential is not going to be on the court. And so I turned my focus to basketball, and I always had much of, a better shot with football anyway.
Okay, cool. Hey, Nikki, how you doing?
Hey, that's my sister.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So go ahead, KJ.
Yeah, so what position you was playing in basketball, man? You know what I'm saying? Down low.
You know what? Funny thing is, I never played organized. It was always at the park, going to play with the fellows school that I went to school with. My AD in high school tried to get me to come out and play, but I didn't mess with it. My head coach didn't too much want me to mess with it anyway, and I kind of went back and forth. I never played organized.
Okay, cool. So who are some of the guys you looked up to that you when you wanted to play basketball in the NBA? Who were some of those guys you looked up to, and in football?
I'm gonna tell you, man, basketball, it was like Dennis Rodman, Charles Barkley. Everybody loved MJ, so there wasn't too many people that didn't love MJ, but it was mainly Dennis Rodman, man. I love Dennis Rodman's work ethic. He was just a dog, And
Okay.
Even with football, man, my football guys were like, I thought I was going to be the next Bruce Smith. I started off playing, I started playing D tackle and O line, so Bruce Smith and that was my guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. So you started out when you played football in 9th grade. What position was you offensive lineman or did you play defense?
I played both. I played D tackle and I played offensive tackle.
Okay. Which one you like the most?
It was D tackle at that time. I loved it. I had one of my teammates, old Rex Brown. We held the middle down, man. There were no runs coming in with us in there. So I love D tackle.
Hey, you get some sacks, man?
Did I get any sacks, KJ? No, I did not get any sacks.
Oh, okay.
I prided myself on nobody running that ball in the middle on me.
That's right.
If I had sacks, I might have been playing D tackle in college. No, I didn't get no sacks.
Yeah, that's what's up.
So what made you stop playing football? Made you stop playing basketball when you got to high school? Did you stop in high school? Or did you play in high school as well?
Basketball?
Yeah.
No, like I said, I played middle school ball organized, but I didn't play organized in high school. I just focused on solely on football in high school.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead, KJ.
Yeah. So how was it playing for Coach Larry Foster?
Coach Frost, Coach Frost, man, he you know what? Coach Frost is my guy. You know, Coach Frost is the one that really helped me understand what it meant to have the opportunity to have a scholarship to play football. You know, not playing as a younger guy, not really having a lot of role models ahead of me from a standpoint of in the school that I was in the area I was in. There were not a lot of people that were going to play college football on a major level. And so he really helped me when I was younger, when I was really trying to decide if I wanted football, because it was tough, you know, not starting until you were 12, 13, you're overweight, you got to get in shape, it's hot.
In that weight room, baby.
Yeah, you got to get in the weight room. And so once he really set me down and talked to me, and back then, you know, you had to send the VHS tapes in to colleges, and you know, he started getting my tapes out, and you know, the coaches started coming to the school to see me. He really helped me along the way, and he was instrumental in my career, the trajectory of my career.
That's what's up. So I know you had a college team when you was around that time in high school. Who was it? Like Florida State or?
It was Florida State.
At the time.
No, it was Florida State. You know, this was back in the day when they had old Andre Riseware, they had Peter Boulware, they had Ward Dunn, and Ward was that quarterback, man. That was my team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So in high school, you played offensive line. Did you guys make it far in the playoffs?
No, we never did get past the first round, man. We always ended up with like a 7-3 record, which, and the way the regions were lined in, that was the short straw. So we always ended up playing somebody like Seneca, who had Joe Dunn Reams at quarterback, and then we had then we would draw like Daniel. Daniel was just a top dog in the 3A region at that time, so we never made it past the first round.
Yeah. Hey, who was the rivalry game though? Who was your rivalry?
JL Man. They always had some great athletes. They had some guys that went and played D1, D2 ball. Fabian Davis, I think, was the biggest guy that came out of JL Man. He ended up going to play at Wake Forest. But JL Man ran that old wing T, man. They always gave us a challenge.
Yeah. You gotta stay disciplined on that, man.
Yeah.
So when you get to your senior year, did you play any all-star games or anything like that?
I didn't, man. You know what? I earned all the honors, you know, all state, all region, all that stuff, man. And I did not get in the Shrine Bowl or the North-South game, which is a mystery to a lot of people in the area. But you know, I guess what's under the bridge is under the bridge.
You was ranked number 3, weren't you? In South Carolina.
I had a high rank. Like I said, I earned all the honors and did not get the All-Star game. And it's funny because I ran into one of my coworkers about 6 months ago, and he's from South Carolina. He was like, man, I remember like when you were coming out of high school, man, it seemed like everybody in the state was talking about that. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, we all know that there's politics going to the
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. So at the time, you know, you were ranked very high. Your senior year going in 1999. Shout out to class in 1999. You had a lot of recruits probably coming your way. Name some of the teams that were actually recruiting you at the time and why you chose Clemson.
So the top 3, I would say, was Clemson, South Carolina, and Georgia Tech. You know, I kind of I hit a very early growth spurt. So I was like 6. I was already like 6'2.5" probably my freshman year in high school. So between then and now, I've only grown like an inch and a half. So I had back then, you know, the Florida States, you get that golden seal envelope in the mail, you know, and Tennessee's and Virginia's. But those schools at the time, as offensive linemen, you know, they didn't offer you unless you were 6'6", you know. And so just by my metrics alone, it took some of those schools off the table. But the top 3 were Georgia Tech, South Carolina and Clemson. 99 is when Clemson and Carolina, Brad Scott was fired from Carolina. Tommy West was fired from Clemson, and then they had to mix up. And I ended up choosing Clemson just solely based on the tradition. I opened up the back of both programs and looked at the school history and the football records. And at that time, Carolina only had one 500 season in the school history. Whoa. And I had to decide whether I wanted to be a winner or if I wanted to just go to a place just, at that time, I was thinking, do I want to be a winner or loser? That's what it came down to. Yes. And I chose Clemson.
Hey, did you take any visits, though? You take any visits?
Yeah. I took a visit to both schools. I actually took some unofficials. Unofficial to North Carolina, official to T. Billy. What's going on, man?
What's up, man?
Unofficial to North Carolina, officials to Clemson, Carolina, counsel my official to Georgia Tech. They tried to pressure me to commit early, man, and I wasn't trying to commit.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah,
for real.
So you get to Clemson your first year. You get to play in the infamous Bowden Bowl one. Talk about that a little bit. Your freshman year playing against Florida State, the team that's your favorite team growing up as a kid.
Well, I'll tell you what. So the interesting thing about it is I did not play in that game. I was redshirted that first year. And heck, just struggled to get on the field in those first few years, man. But I tell you what, like that first game, it wasn't the Florida State game. I believe it was like Marshall, our first home game. It was under the lights, and just getting off that bus, man, and that sea of orange. It was incredible. Yes, but even then in that Bowden Bowl one, just seeing those guys compete, looking on the field, guys like Peter Warwick out there doing the thing, man, and then our guys, just compete. It was an exciting atmosphere.
See it up close.
Yeah,
man, for real.
Cool. So, you said you waited a few years to play. So at that time, a lot of players probably feel like they deserve to play right away. What gave you the tenacity to stay at Clemson and say, I'm going to wait my turn, and this is the way I'm supposed to be. This is my destiny, and I'm going to stick it out and hang and see it through?
You know what? It was tough. I'm not going to sit here and lie about it, man. It was tough. And I understand I had a lot of growing to do. Like my body just wasn't like physically where it needed to be. Like I didn't come from a top high school program. So there were some weight room challenges that I needed to overcome. Mentally, of course, I thought I could compete with anybody, but physically it just wasn't there. But at the end of the day, when I really, really, really felt like I could compete, it was tough. And the thing that helped me through it was just, I'm going to tell you, man, I came from a single parent household. And when you see the things that, single parents, especially single mothers go through, just staying and scrapping and fighting, you learn how to do that, and I've always been the type of guy, if I see that I have the possibility of winning, I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to work.
That's right.
And that's what I did, to eventually get to where I wanted to be. I always felt like there were some things that I could see that other people couldn't see. And what you have to do is put your blinders on and forget about all that other noise and focus on what you can focus on.
Yeah.
That's great advice for other kids that's watching. So from that point, you get the starting position. What year is this? What season is this? Is this 2002 or 2003 or 2001?
It had to be like 2002. I was the third tackle. Gary Bird and Derek Brantley were the starting tackles. Derek Brantley goes down, tears his ACL. I think it was in the La Tech game. And then, from there I'm in. The next game that I complete that game. Next game I'm in is against Georgia Tech, who had a highly touted DN that was kind of returning off of illness. I think his name is Eric Henderson. He was like prior year, he was like supposed to be like first, second round guy, but from then on, I was starting at right tackle.
Right time.
Jolly, what's going on, man?
Cool.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
talk
hey,
about.
Big
Go
Will.
ahead, KJ.
Hey, Big Will. So as an offensive lineman, who was the toughest D lineman you had to face during your time at Clemson?
That's always my favorite question, and I'm gonna tell you, I always give the same answer, and it surprises a lot of people. There was a guy at Duke, man. It was his last name was Johnson, and I'm gonna tell you, this guy, man, I started the game at left tackle. He wasn't on me at left tackle, right?
Look at it, talk about me.
I started the game at left tackle, and Bird was playing right,
Okay.
and I'm gonna tell you, and I'm just stating the facts. Like he was dragging Bird, right? And so coach just like, hey, switch. So I ended up switching to right tackle, but this guy had every move in this arsenal. I mean, he could counter move, man. That son of a gun would try to start with a speed rush. He come back with try to do a spin move. Then he'll give you a little shimmy. I mean, he tried everything, man, and he kept it going. Like he had a high motor and he kept it going. But I'll tell you, the highest rated guy, the highest ranked guy was probably David Pollard, because he was like the 2-time All SEC defensive player of the year guy, big time guy. But the guy at Duke was the toughest guy I played against.
Man, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So talk about some of the bowl experiences you had experienced at Clemson. How was that like for you? Going, to Florida, playing in the I forget what bowl, Gator Bowl, and then you guys went to the Humanitarian Bowl.
Yeah.
And
so once again, man, I remember the first year we did the Peach Bowl, I wasn't playing. Second year, KJ, I think that was the Gator Bowl. That was Michael Vick. I didn't play in that one. And then the Humanitarian Bowl was next. I got some mop-up duty in that one. That was cool, playing in the blue field, visiting Boise. I think I saw Willie's interview, talking about that Boise trip, man. That was definitely the funnest bowl trip. And then my I guess the fourth year was actually that had to be the bowl down against we played Texas Tech.
Okay.
I can't remember that game.
Tangerine Bowl.
Tangerine Bowl. That's what it was. And playing Aaron Hunt, that guy ended up getting drafted 4th round. It's funny, man. That game we practiced again. They had an amazing blitz package, and we practiced that thing nonstop. And those son of a guns didn't run one blitz until they got us down about 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter, and they just sit in the house every play. And then we played in the Peach Bowl my senior year against Tennessee. So
that was a big win because Tennessee was ranked high that year.
They knocked them off. Good game.
So I have some highlights, man, from 1999 to 2003. You might catch yourself in there, in a glimpse. We're going to go ahead and shout it out because that was the actually year that you attended Clemson and played there. Let's take a look at some of these clips real quick, okay?
Shout out to the guys that were on the field.
Yes, sir.
You was on that too, baby.
He was on there, man.
Critical series for the North Carolina defense. Dantzler on the draw. Gets a block. To the 45. Dantzler's loose. It's a foot race. Dantzler inside the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Clemson.
These are the guys that get the action. Back to throw. Here's Dantzler. Now he'll run. He escapes Robbins. He escapes everybody with the exception of Adrian Duncan. And he's knocked out of bounds in Wake Forest territory. So Dantzler turned disaster.
So it's 2nd and 4. Streeter keeps it this time, flips it out. Sir Gallus, the tight end, to the end zone. He got there.
They need 10. They're going for more. And they get it. Touchdown Clemson on 4th and 10. Gardner
Wants to keep. To the 15, 10. Cuts outside. Scores. Touchdown. What a run by Dantzler.
this would be as a field goal. Dantzler straight quarterback draw, bounces off one, and he'll take it in.
Zachary back in there at tailback, lining up next to Woody. And the fake, here goes Dantzler over the right side, one man to beat. Woodrow Dantzler, touchdown, Clemson.
Second punt of the day for Abrams. Oh, under some pressure. Joe Don Reams back for Clemson. Beats the first man. Great cutback. Look out. He's got one man to beat. The punter Abrams is the one with the only shot, and he won't get it.
And good! From 25 yards.
In the backfield. Woody rolls, looks like a designed running play. There he is. Inside the 20, inside the 10. He's got the record. He's got the... There's Yockman, Dantzler, breaks the tackle, and he's into the secondary, and he's on his way. Woody Dantzler, all the way, touchdown, Clemson. The wind in his hands and dropped it. 3rd down and 6. Dantzler keeps it. Dantzler, touchdown! Clemson wins! Dantzler with the football as we start the 4th quarter into the end zone for a touchdown.
First down from the 46. Hill feeling the heat, throws, incomplete. Oh, Justin Miller makes a spectacular interception. Takes it back up the near side. He's still on his feet. Miller finally dragged out the...
2 touchdowns back, they've got to. No question. Whitehurst needs 10. Waits, guns, fires, complete to Curry. Curry eludes one receiver. He's got one to beat. Touchdown, Clemson. Just
3rd down and 12.
Simmons directing traffic and has a man. Elliott, touchdown.
Fans in orange on their feet to watch this one from the 11. Whitehurst chased, gets away from Crawford, keeps it up the sideline, touchdown.
From the Tech 33-yard line. Whitehurst, no pressure. Going for Curry, grabs it, touchdown, Clemson. Ari Curry. Reese now.
here comes the pass. Whitehurst fade to the end zone. Touchdown. Clemson wins.
Nice plays so far. It would appear that he's shaking that off. That's what he has to do.
Big 3rd and 10 here, and with a step, Youngblood makes the catch. Inside. Running back duties tonight. We haven't seen Yusuf Kelly. Whitehurst looks up, ball to Lone Coleman. Touchdown.
They give it to Jasmine right at the middle, at the 10, at the 5. Touchdown.
Yes, sir. We're back.
I appreciate those last 5 highlights, but y'all did Woody all my shine. I know it's the Orangeburg connections, but y'all didn't have to do me like that now.
Nah, man. I was gonna say you played under like 4 different quarterbacks. I think Will Proctor, Woody, then you had Willie Simmons, then you had Charlie Whitehurst. Talk about that a little bit, just the difference between all 4 quarterbacks, their approach to the game.
You know what? So in actuality, I had Charlie and I had Willie. Now I was there with Woody and Street, but they were all different. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Funny thing is I ended up blocking a little bit for Woody in Europe, but they were all different. Woody was just a different guy, man. You know, when you start talking about like some of the best college athletes to ever play the game, Woody is in that mix. And you know, the funny thing is that I was thinking about it today. You know, Woody didn't get drafted. You know, and but anyway, Charlie was a different cat. He was a competitor. 6'4", 6'5" guy. Just loved to play ball. Willie the same way. Loved to play ball. But they were all different, and it was fun being around them all.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you this. So which did you like, the pass blocking or you like the run blocking? Is it a difference? They about the same or what?
No, they're not the same. I always enjoyed pass blocking because for me, I was always a better pass blocker. Like my feet were good enough to compete with those defensive ends that give you that speed rush, to give you that shimmy, that were a lot faster, a lot more agile. But after, I guess, as I picked up weight, got stronger, last year at Clemson, going into, playing in Europe and everything, I really learned the technique of run blocking. And so I enjoyed it a lot more. But from a competitive nature, pass blocking was always one of those things where I could show off my athletic ability.
Yeah, it's some way you kind of got. It's like look like y'all backpedaling or something. When you get out, you got to kind of get back quick.
Kick slide, man. Kick slide.
That's it. Kick slide, baby. Hey, I'm telling you, y'all be sliding too. It kind of like y'all be looking like a group. You know what I mean? Y'all kind of move together. That's what's up.
So you go leave. The last bowl game. You get into the draft. You go into the combine. You work out for different teams. Where's your confidence level right then at that point?
Well, after my junior year, had an okay junior year. Like I said, I didn't start off as a starter. Once Brantley got hurt, came in. Hey, Miss Page, that's my son's friend's mom. So that's cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's great.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
But coming out, junior year, wasn't the starter. Had a pretty successful year. Played against some pretty good guys. Actually, I ended up playing against like a first-round draft pick in Calvin Pace that year. Played against Aaron Hunt that year. He ended up going 4th round. Okay. Eric Henderson, I think, ended up being drafted. There was another guy from Georgia Tech, I think Claiborne, ended up being drafted. And played against some other guys. I think Virginia had a couple guys end up getting drafted. So played against some draft picks that year. And then, going into senior year was a major time for me because I played my junior year at like 275. And I really hit the weight room hard from junior to senior year. And I ended up picking up like 20 pounds of just, hitting the weight room. I had already received my undergrad. So I was going to the weight room, getting like one-on-one training in the mornings because my classes were at night. My grad school classes were at night. So I was, going in the morning, getting a workout in, and Big Dave Abernathy was working me out. Coach Batson was over his shoulder.
Yeah,
so
Batman. What's up, baby?
Yeah. So I'm getting drilled from every which way, and and so I was getting a lot of one-on-one attention. So I really picked up some weight. Had a pretty good showing. Senior year, ended up being invited to the Gridiron Classic bowl game, All-Star game in Florida. Went to the Hula Bowl, another All-Star game. Felt like I did decent in those, and actually thought that I might have a shot at sneaking in 6th, 7th round. And draft day came around, and actually had a couple of calls come through, and you start to shake, and they asking you questions, but it didn't work out. So I ended up going free agent to the Falcons.
Okay.
How was that, man?
How was the Falcons?
Look, man, I watched Jolly's interview, right? And he was talking about going, and he was just a roster, just a camp body. Man, I was a camp body in Atlanta. It was interesting because they kind of had the same concept that we had early on at Clemson when Coach Rod was the coordinator. Like they just played fast ball, and they wanted all the linemen to be lean, 275, 280. And I had done all this work to pick up 20, 30 pounds. So now I got to drop all this weight again. So that was a challenge. And then OTAs, I ended up partially tearing my MCL. So I had to go through like an 8-week rehab to do that, and work myself back, and didn't get any shine in any games with Atlanta. But I enjoyed my experience because Mike Vick was down there, Peerless Price.
All right.
Big Bob Whitfield was playing tackle. Excuse me. At that time, he had already been in the league, man. Big Bob had already been in the league probably like 13 years already out of Stanford. And he was just telling me tricks of the trade. And, I really got a lot of knowledge. That's probably the best O-line coach like that I've played. Alex Gibbs, like he coached all those Denver offensive lines where they went to those Super Bowls, man. And he was kind of a renowned O-line guy in the NFL. And I tell you, man, this guy was like 5'2", $125, and would cuss anybody out in his way. It didn't matter who it was. And because and that was just the kind of guy he was. He was a dog. But the one thing that he taught me was, I remember him saying something in a meeting one day. He was like, I can teach you all the technique in the world, but I'm not on the field with it. You got to do what it takes to win.
That's right.
When you coming from college where you getting graded on every step and you just worried about getting steps right and all that, and the guy's just telling you, look, you got to, it's man on man. You in the battle, you got to win. And I never forget that from that guy.
Cool.
That's what's up.
So you left Atlanta. Did you go to the Seahawks then?
No. I ended up sitting out that year. I was cut the last cut. Ended up sitting out. And then I ended up getting drafted to go to play in NFL Europe. So I played for the Frankfurt Galaxy in NFL Europe.
Okay. That's in Germany, right?
Yeah.
So how was the German? How was that experience, man, in Germany?
Man, it was great. I learned a lot of football. I learned a lot about football in Germany, and I had some things that in college that some of the coaches. What's up, Troy?
What's up?
Some of the coaches, man, in college just couldn't figure out. But I had some technique things that, like, even with my stance, man, that nobody could ever figure out. And I went to, my Europe coach, man, one day with being with him, he corrected it just like that. Old school guy. Shout out to Whitey Jordan. He coached at Clemson years and years ago. Mm-hmm. But I learned a lot about football, just the technique of football. And I ended up playing 5 positions in Europe. I played left tackle, left guard, right guard, and center. And I started games at 4. I didn't start at center, but I learned how to play center in Europe.
Wow. So you actually learned the whole offensive line tree in Germany. So how was it like playing with Woody again that year?
It was strange, man, because Woody was older, so and then I wasn't playing a lot when Woody was playing, so I didn't really have a close relationship with Woody at that time. But being in Europe, our relationship grew because Woody was going through a change too, because Woody had just gotten moved. Like I think he was still with the Cowboys, but they had moved him to running back, and then they sent him to Europe as a safety. Wow. And so he was trying to learn safety, and then eventually throughout the season, injuries pile up, and it ended up Woody. We were practicing at quarterback Woody because we didn't know what our quarterback situation was going to be. So, but it was cool. It was cool, really, really spending time with Woody, and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah, cool. That's what's up.
Did y'all make any playoff games or anything out there?
No, so the way Europe works, you go through the regular season, and then the top 2 dogs, end up playing in the championship. But we had a rough season that year, man. But that following year, they ended up winning the World Bowl. So I think we ended up going like 3-7. We just had injuries every week. I mean, somebody was getting sent home. Yeah.
So from there, you went to the Seattle Seahawks, right?
Yeah, so when I left Europe, so I was in Europe as a free agent. I wasn't allocated by a team to go over there. So I was a free agent. So, when you're in Europe, you have training camp, but at training camp, all the NFL teams come. Like, all the scouts are coming to watch you play or practice or what have you down in Tampa. And then when you go to Europe, of course, all your tape is going back, and they're even coming out there to watch you. But I ended up getting a call about a week after I returned from Europe, from Seattle. But the funny thing is that Seattle actually was one of the teams that reached out draft day, like at the end of the draft, that was interested in signing me as a free agent. And I didn't want to. At that time, I didn't know a lot about Seattle, and I didn't want to go out to Seattle. So I stayed in Atlanta.
Oh, so was Leroy Hill? Was he there at the time?
Yeah. So by the time I came back from Europe and went out to Seattle, Leroy was there.
Dang, that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
He had a hell of a defense at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were there when Hasselbeck was the quarterback, correct?
Yeah, Hasselbeck, Sean Alexander. Big Walter Jones was holding down the left tackle spot, and Chuck Darby. You might know Chuck Darby, man. He played at South Carolina State.
Darby.
Yeah. Chuck, man. He looked out for me a lot when I was out there, man. Chuck
what type of player was Chuck with the Seahawks? You know,
like a lot of people don't know. Like a lot of people talk about size. Chuck was playing D tackle, but Chuck was only about like 5'10". Chuck was small cat, but Chuck can move, man. He just had some technique things, man. Yeah, but Chuck was only like 5'10", maybe 5'11".
Wow. Well,
yeah.
He had heart. That's all that was.
Yeah, a lot of heart.
Came from Tampa Bay that year. They won the Super Bowl, I believe.
Yep. Mm-hmm. He played at South Carolina State too.
Yes, sir. Yep. So after you left the Seahawks, what was next?
Oh, man.
What's that?
But you played. Didn't they win the Super Bowl when you was there though with the Seahawks?
So what happened is, I went through training camp with them. I got released from training camp. I guess about week 8 or week 9, they called me back out. So I ended up spending the remainder of that year on practice squad. I remember it was like yesterday, man. I was working, and my mom calls me. It was like, "Hey, man, that man from Seattle calling you." I gave him your number, and I'm like, "What's going on?" So I pick up the phone. "Hey, William, what you doing?" "Working. What you doing?" And he's like, and this was like a Wednesday, and he was like, "Can you play Sunday?" And I was like, "What you talking about?" And so at that time, Walter Jones, Jones, man, he had an injury in the game, and they didn't really know how it was going to go. And he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna either have you on the plane tonight or within the next 48 hours. Stay by your phone." And Walt ended up being okay, man, but they flew me out. I was on practice squad, and they asked you questions. "You in shape?" "Yeah, I'm working out, but I ain't in no football shape." It's been 6-7 weeks, but yeah, I can play. I ended up going out, spending the practice squad, man, and really just trying to gain weight, get back in football shape, man. And I ended up, getting really, really big, man. I had to drop some weight. I ended up getting up about 345, and man, I was a step slow, But the thing is, my body fat was good. I had like a 13% body fat at 345, so I was good. But went to the playoffs, went to the Super Bowl. We lost to the Steelers that year, and ended up staying throughout the following off season and preseason, and then I was cut after that preseason, the following preseason.
Okay. That was like 2005, right?
So my last cut, that was 2006. The last cut I had. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So you left the NFL. Did you do any coaching or anything first before you went into corporate America, or?
Well, I actually tried to keep playing. There were some startup leagues that were starting, man, and I thought I was going to go play in, what was it, the AAFL. It was a league that was
All-American Football League, baby.
Yeah. And some guy, man, he made his money with student loans, and during that time is when the economy got jacked up. So I mean, we were supposed to report to training camp one day, and the day before, man, we get a call saying, "Hold your horses. We'll be in contact." And the next thing you know, everybody's quit their jobs, and guess what? There's no league. And so after that, I tried to, I tried to go to Canada. Couldn't get any Canadian teams, because at that point I'm like 3 years removed from college, and also I tried out for a couple of arena teams. I could have done arena ball, but arena ball just wasn't for me.
Yeah. It ain't for everyone. Yeah.
So yeah, I think KJ talked about the American Football League, and back in like 2008, the economy crashing and it didn't fall through. That was a very difficult time for a lot of people, especially guys who going back to pursue their dream and quitting their regular day jobs, and for that to happen to them, to have to restart, reset again. So talk about what you do after that.
Shoot, what did I do, man? I ended up, I'm gonna tell you, so I have to kind of hit rewind. So when I was cut by the Falcons, JJ Howard and myself, we were neighbors, man. And I get a call from JJ, and this son of a gun, he's like, "Hey, Big Will, what you doing, man?" That man, just trying to wait and see if somebody's, gonna pick me up. He's okay, well, I got an opportunity for you, and just listen before you say anything. I know what you're gonna say. Before you say anything, I know you're gonna say you didn't go to school, get 2 degrees, man. But I'm gonna tell you, man, this is a great opportunity. Man, you need to come talk to these people at the Waffle House. Just talk to them, man. Just talk to the people at the Waffle House, and at that time, I didn't really have no money coming in, so I was like, well, I better get up and talk to somebody. So I ended up starting with the Waffle House, man, in their management training program before, and I was actually with them when I got drafted to go over to Europe. I was working like I was probably getting 4 hours of sleep, man. I would work all day, all night at the Waffle House, go to the gym at like midnight, get me like a 2-hour workout in, go home, sleep for 4 hours, get back up, and I did that for like 6 months. Wow. And then fast forward, after I got cut, I had a couple little careers, man, and the economy ended up just getting me laid off. I was laid off of like 2 or 3 jobs just because I was the last man in and couldn't afford to pay you. The economy was, just kind of jacked up at the time, and I needed stability. So I ended up going back to the Waffle House.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. So you left the Waffle House and you went to another corporation. Which one was that?
Well, actually, when I left the Waffle House, I actually moved to Georgia and opened up a State Farm agency down in a little town called Palmetto, Georgia. That's just between like Peachtree City and Fairburn and all that area, down in that area in Georgia. I opened up a State Farm, did that for just over a year. And part of the way through realized that it just was not for me, and ended up closing my office down, and ended up going to Chick-fil-A. Had an opportunity at Chick-fil-A. So right now I work as my job title is a program lead with Chick-fil-A, but it's formerly known as a consultant. So I'm a consultant with Chick-fil-A and their leadership development program.
What's up, Will?
Okay. So you back at the Chick-fil-A Bowl in Atlanta when they have the Chick-fil-A Bowl, huh?
Yeah. Hopefully so. They didn't have it last year, so hopefully so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Man. So you got any kids right now playing sports, track, baseball, football, basketball, anything like that?
Absolutely. So yeah, man. So my wife, she actually rode a little bit at Clemson, and she actually played rugby at Clemson as well. So my wife is at volleyball in high school, and so she's an athlete, and my daughter Lindsay, who's 12, soon to be 13, she's doing basketball, volleyball.
All right.
Loves to swim. Unfortunately with COVID and everything, swim was just kind of knocked out for this past year. But volleyball and basketball are really big for her. Early on, they were doing a lot of soccer. Hey, baby, that's my baby right there.
All right.
And then and my son Trevor, he just finished his last AAU basketball game today. He's 10. He was doing soccer. We're looking at he wants to do baseball. So at some point, probably get him into baseball, and then we're going to try to get swimming going and even soccer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So,
but they're both greater, way greater. Like my son is he's way athletically, and my daughter too. Like athletically, they're way ahead of where I was at that age. Okay. And a lot of it has to just do with just exposure,
Yeah.
Just the ability to the blessings to be able to allow them to see all these different sports.
Exactly.
Hey, so whenever they get any kind of awards, shoot, Jermaine, we can post them, right?
Yeah, of course.
Sports 7 page.
Yes,
So
sir.
hey, just let us know.
All you have to
That
do is
sounds
send it
good.
send it to our inbox. We'll get it out there.
Yeah,
Yes,
man.
sir. Yeah. So
That's
any
what it's
message you would like to give the youth before we head out to the people that's watching?
You know what? I would probably give, everyone, not just the youth, the same advice that I give, some of the people that I work with now, and that's not being afraid to be yourself. A lot of, we lived in an age where social media and there's so many other outlets that heavily influence today's culture.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not being themselves. They're trying to emulate, other people that they see on TV, right? And on Facebook, on Twitter, on IG, whatever all these other apps are.
That's right.
And they're not being their authentic selves.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're missing by not being your authentic self is your opportunity to grow into who God wants you to be.
That's right. That's right.
That's what you're missing. And so I really just encourage people to be themselves, and allow God to direct your steps. And by no means am I perfect, right? And so I want to make sure I state that before this message goes out. But it's important for people to understand that because this world, man, it's there are so many influences. A whole lot more influences than when we were coming up, right? It was radio and maybe some cable if you were privileged to have cable, or if you had a bootleg guy come around and hook you up for a month or two before you get caught. The exposure, and so as parents, especially with as parents, you have to really be tuned in to what's going on, because there's so many ways that this information or all of these things can get to your kids. And so being yourself and not being afraid to be honest.
That's right,
yes,
man.
Sir.
Good message.
Definitely. Yes, sir. So do you have any social media accounts that anybody can follow you on or anything like that? Or it's just,
what, man? I'm only on Twitter, man, and
okay.
I guess I should have been prepared because y'all ask everybody this when they do it, but I'm on Twitter, man, and I look at it just for kind of updates on Clemson and just kind of keeping up with people that I've coached with in the past, high schools that I've been at in the past, and I think it's at Big Will Henry. That's it right there. At Big Will Henry.
All right.
On Twitter. That's it, man.
That's all you gonna get. That's it.
That's it, baby.
Yeah. And I don't even do a lot of interacting on that. A couple people here and there, but that's it.
No problem. Cool. Hey man, it was a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for coming on. It was actually a good conversation. Learned a lot about you I didn't know. Didn't know you started playing football in 9th grade, a late bloomer, and worked his way all the way up to the NFL, man. So congrats on that. Wish your family all the best and success, man. Anything else, anybody you'd like to shout out before we head out?
I want to shout out to all the Clemson guys watching, man. We need to do some kind of reunion or something. Nobody really goes back to Clemson anymore. Now, I don't know, what the reasons are. Everybody has their own reason, but it's hard to get everybody together, man. But I would love, especially around our era, 99, 04, those eras, man, because we had some solid teams, solid athletes. I mean, the athletes, there's not a lot of change in the athletic talent, that's come through Clemson. There's some change in the talent of the coaches, but not a lot of change in the athletes. I watched Jolly, a couple of weeks ago talk about, the differences in coaching, and he was spot on. So, but I would love to get everybody together, man, at some point, because I think that there's been a lot of, everybody just had a lot of things going on in life, man. And but the brotherhood is still a brotherhood. I see people randomly, and it's like we haven't skipped a beat. So shout out to all the Clemson boys.
All right, no problem. Well, you guys have just tuned in to another edition of Sports Shop 27. I'm your host, Jermaine Colter. To the far right, Kevin Johnson, KJ. And in the middle, we'd like to send a special thanks out to our guests.
That's right.
Former Clemson and Atlanta Falcon, Seattle Seahawks, and also, what's that? The other league, Germany.
NFL Europe. But before we go, I'm going to shout
Europe.
out to my beautiful wife, Veronica, Lindsay, Trevor. Shout out to my sister for watching. Love you too, Nikki.
All right. Well, y'all be safe out there. Yes, sir. All right. Y'all be safe out there. Wear your mask. And it's not how you start. It's how you what, KJ?
It's how you finish.
All right. Until next time, stay tuned. Later. Peace.
Love you, Big Will.
Love you too, man. Holla at me.
You know it.